Hi guys, welcome to this week's review show. It's a bit of a special one this week because I've got my good friend Mr. Daniel Chard joining us. Hi
Hello.
Daniel.
How are you? Good to see you again, Peter.
And you. So Daniel's been joining us this week because he appeared on Alakazam Unlimited yesterday, giving a live lecture to Unlimited members. And also you filmed some stuff. We're going to keep it secret at the moment because it is great, but there's some stuff for Unlimited coming real soon. So keep your eye out for that. But for this week's review show, we allowed Daniel to choose the 3 effects that we're going to review. Now, some of these we reviewed in earlier episodes, but these were Daniel's choice. And if I'm not mistaken, 2 of these you perform, and 1 of these you have been recommended.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
So what one shall we start with?
Start with Eliminator 2.
Eliminator 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Okie dokes.
So.
This is, Eliminator is an effect that Alakazam brought out about, it's got to be nearly 20 years ago. It can't be far off that. And Eliminator 2 came with new handlings and a whole new routine, which I think elevated it. So tell us, this is the one you were recommended.
Yes,
so
yeah.
Tell us about your recommendation, how you heard about it, because I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
it's
I
right up your street.
Must have been living under a rock. I had, it was recommended to me by Jasper Blakely. He sung its praises and, couldn't recommend it highly enough. I've got the original with the like paper instructions in the sort of clear Ziploc bag. So that's how old my version is. And it was one of those tricks where it fits that sort of rare criteria where A, it's self-working.
Yeah.
The effect is interesting in and of itself, and it's one of those tricks that you wouldn't think would play that strong, but having done it numerous times, the reaction is just killer.
Yeah.
It gets such a strong layperson response, and I think the thing I like about this version as opposed to the early one, because the instructions were quite basic in the original, whereas you've added loads of like moments and bits of script that make it sound like you're doing so much more than you really are.
Yeah.
It really adds to the texture of the performance and makes it look like you're actually reading their mind. Because in some regards you are.
Yeah.
You're giving them, you're relaying the information to them, which is all, which they will agree with, but you're not fully revealing it until the end. And then you get the nice finish. Yeah. Where you produce both selections.
Yeah, it's changed from, you're right. When it first came out, Adrian's original routine was super simple. Card selected, put back in the deck, produce from your pocket.
Which was super strong.
But what we added, we wanted to create more of a routine out of it. So there's this amazing bit in the middle where it seems like you've got this amazing memory of memorizing a deck pretty much in less than 10 seconds. You've also got the brilliant reveal where, and bearing in mind, these can come out of your spectator's pocket as well. You can put the deck in your spectator's pocket. I'll tell you what, let's take a look at a performance and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, guys, we're going to try something out using a deck of cards. So we've got 52 cards, just in a random order. And what I want you both to do is think of a number from 1 to 52, but not too high because we're going to have to deal to them. Okay. And if you can think of a number now, don't tell me yet. Have you got one? Yep. Okay. And so you don't think of the same number, is your number odd or even?
Mine's even.
Can you think of an odd number?
Got one. Yep.
Okay, you got one? Okay, take hold of the cards. Can you deal a face down pile to your number?
That's my number, yep.
Yep. Okay, take your card, don't look at it, put it in your pocket, and we'll drop the rest of the cards on top. Harry, you take these, still down to your number.
It's very weird.
Very fair.
Yep, take the card, don't look at it, put it in your pocket, and they can go on top.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to explain what I'm going to do. In a moment, I'm going to look through the deck and try and tell you what 2 cards are missing. Okay. Now, the first fault that magicians especially will have is the fact that a deck might be stacked. If the deck is stacked, it's easy for me to spot what 2 cards are missing. Yeah. So before we do anything, I'm going to shuffle the deck and you can keep me fair with this. That is a real shuffle, right?
Yep.
Okay, just squish them together.
Oh, teamwork.
There we go. And I'll do it again as well, just in case you think that was some sort of funny shuffle, just like this. Yep.
Perfect.
Happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to try and memorize the entire deck in less than 10 seconds and tell you what 2 cards are missing.
No way.
Harry?
No way.
I want you to start counting from 10 down to 1. Go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I think I was being a bit ambitious. I don't know what 2 cards
There's
are
no
missing.
way you've done that.
But I tell you what I do know. Before I tell you this information, have a look at your cards. I'm not going to look. Tell me when you both know what cards you've got, and I'll tell you what information I have.
Yep.
Okay, by looking through the deck, I can tell you this with certainty. There were more black cards in that pack than there were red, so you both picked a red card. There was the same amount of hearts as there are diamonds. One of you has a heart, one of you has a diamond. All 12 picture cards are still in that deck, so neither of you have got a picture card. How have I done?
Very well.
Good.
Yeah?
Annoyingly well.
We're going to try and take it one step further. I'm going to turn my head, push your cards anywhere into the deck. They don't have to be together, just push them anywhere. And tell me when they're in there.
Yep.
Okay, Harry, just square the deck up for me.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, and so I can't estimate anything. I want you to make sure as well, once again, just magician patter, but you can see there's no crimps, breaks, or anything else happening with that deck, right? Okay, I'm going to take the cards. Once again, we're going to give them a shuffle, just like this. You can see the cards are being shuffled, and these cards are going to go into my pocket. Harry, your card was the heart.
Correct.
It's a number card. It's quite a high number. I'm getting the feeling it's that. Dan, that leaves yours was a diamond. Once again, quite a high number. They're pretty similar in value, I think. What was your card, Dan?
The 8 of diamonds.
The 8 of diamonds, Harry?
7 hearts. How
7
the
of
hell?
hearts.
Very, very nice. It's great.
That's insane. That's so good.
And there you go.
You wizard.
Why, thank you, gentlemen.
I want one.
So that's it. That's Eliminator 2. You can see how powerful it is. So for you, for anyone that doesn't know you, you work a lot at Smoke and Mirrors.
Yep, Smoke and Mirrors.
So I've been to Smoke and Mirrors. Is there still a bar magician there, or is it now all stand-up?
Yeah, so we do have there's a walk-around magician that goes around, throughout the night on a Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Both while the shows are on and after. And it's mainly walk-around, but they do, when it gets a bit later and you've got the musician on, they will do a stint behind the bar, just because people, when they come out the show, they're immediately greeted with magic then. And this is perfect for them. I think you could still do it in someone's hands as well.
Yeah.
You might need to manage the dealing process a bit more, but it still fits both of those conditions very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, I always saw it as a parlour style effect, and usually I would say it's pretty much strong enough to be your closer.
I think so.
Moment when you reveal the 2 cards out of your pocket, bearing in mind it leaves you in that perfect closing position where you've got the 2 cards, you turn them over and you're like this. They always said you should close at that moment.
Absolutely.
Cards up here, face there, that's their lasting image of you. I think this is strong enough to be a closer. I think it's perfect for parlour.
Yep.
I honestly think you could get 2 spectators and do it on stage, because they're the ones that are sort of agreeing with everything and confirming everything. So it doesn't matter if people can't actually see the card. Maybe not in a theatre, but if you were doing it in Smoke and Mirrors.
100%. Yeah, this is going to be it goes in different parts in the show, but I think where it will live the most is probably the end of the first half. Yeah. Because I've got my closer that I use, all the time, big confabulation style thing. Whereas this is perfect for the end of the first half. You've got that applause cue. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back in 15 minutes. Curtains closed. Yeah. I think it's just you don't really need much more in terms of reactions with that. Yeah. Very, very strong trick.
So the other thing that we talk about on the review is who do we think is good for? So realistically, it's slight free. Everything you saw there, anyone could do.
100%.
There's no memory work. So all that memorising the deck, you're not doing any of that, so you don't have to learn any weird mnemonics or anything like that. The bit where you're pulling the cards out your pocket, there are no crimps, there's no breaks, there's no short cards, long card, fit cards.
Yeah.
It is as simple can be.
Yeah.
The thing that makes this so powerful is the routining. That's it.
I mean, if you can remember 2 cards, it helps you do an extra sort of reveal at the end, but you don't need to.
No.
It's
No. So person, I would say anyone, and we've already really spoke about the place, and we would suggest close up if you're performing. I would say you're right. I think you do need a table really, because otherwise it's going to be cumbersome. I don't think it's going to have. I don't think you're giving the effect the respect it deserves if you do it like that.
No, because it feels like it'd be a little bit rushed. I think it's one of like a fine wine. Just take your time.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so we're thinking parlour, a cabaret stage.
Yeah,
probably not a theatre, but
I think you play up to about 100 people, I reckon.
Yeah,
that sort of size.
And if you were sort of out with friends, if you're not a pro magician and you're out and you're a hobbyist, it's the perfect trick when you've got people sitting around. You're getting 2 people involved. There's multiple little moments of amazement going on. So I think if you're a hobbyist, I think you'll get a lot of joy out of this. And this is seriously a performance piece trick. You could make this last 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you look like you're far better than you are. So if you do have, if you're new to it, it's a good vehicle for working on the performance, or if you want to just add a really strong trick and make it look like you've got these skills, it's the perfect piece.
Yeah. So that is Eliminator 2. Okay, so the next effect we're going to look at is which? Which would you like to go for?
Well, let's go Brric by Drew Perry.
Okay, so Brric by Drew Perry. This came out, I think it was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year.
I think last year.
Yeah, I think it was last year. And it's a great effect. Drew has created an alternative to the sort of Omni-deck style routine. For me, personally, I think the power of this is the deck of cards.
Yeah.
Something simple. We actually did, we reviewed this on an earlier show, and I do a couple of performances on there, just showing some of the things you can do with the cards that are in there. But I know we've got a performance of you performing your go-to routine with it. So let's take a look at that now.
So, Mr. Pete. Thanks for letting me. I'm good. Thanks for letting me out of the warehouse.
You've got 5 minutes.
I was chained up. Would you mind, as I go through the pack, just saying stop whenever you like?
Stop.
Take your card, have a look. Don't show me. Show it around. So hopefully that should be your son's signature. So we're going to put the card back. So we're going to do a few. So we need to get the deck warmed up. So with like a musician or an athlete, you need to warm yourself up. I'm not an athlete, as you can see, but we're going to try. Something with these nonetheless, give the cards a quick cut. And hopefully you're going to see in time old fashion, your card isn't on top or on the bottom.
No.
Would you just wave your hand for me? That was amazing. No one's ever done that well, Pete. Thank you so much. Your card rises to the top, the 4 of hearts. Was that it?
That was it.
Yes. Boom. Same again. I'll leave it roughly midway. No funny moves. All it does this, cast a shadow, Pete, and it reappears. I'll leave it in the center. Now all we do is this. You can show a random 4 of hearts. Just a little shake. It looks like it jumps straight to the top. But everything happens in my hand, and I lie for a living. So what I want you to do is I'm going to show the card front and back. Would you push the card in? And it reappears in the mouth, Pete. That was quick.
Very good.
In fact, it was a little bit mean. Oh, card's got a mind of his own. Now I want to try with something a little different. So I've been doing magic since I was a kid. I've had many different interests. Some of them were swimming with ducks. I used to love feeding them bread at the park. Lego. I was a very unusual kid. Put your hand out like this for me, and put your other hand flat on top. I'm going to remove the joker from here.
Yeah.
Could say there's 2. Okay. So I'm just going to go back in time, Pete. All these years ago. If you lift up your hand, you can see we transform, Pete. I know. Spicy, innit? Go through like this. You can see every card except for 1. And if you take it out, my friend, have a look. Make sure you show the camera, otherwise this may not work. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to try to take this one step further. Again, using the card. If you stick your hand out again, other hand flat on top. And all we're going to do is this. You're going to feel the texture of the cards change in your hand like this. So they should be getting solid now. You can feel that, yes?
Yeah.
But not just that. You can feel they're getting a bit harder.
Yep.
And hopefully if you lift the cards up like this, we get all the way back to my childhood.
A solid Lego block.
I feel warm inside now, Pete.
That's so good. Great little routine.
Thanks for being a good spectator, Pete.
Oh, thank you very much. So that's a great routine. So give us a bit of the history of that routine and
so
where
it was,
you performed it.
So the majority of it was inspired by Craig Petty's color changing deck, which I think was one of the original tricks that he used in the trailer. I believe.
Yeah.
Like it was his longer routine. And so I would typically do that, walk around behind the bar. I do that a lot just because I can switch decks in and out. You know, my hand can sort of go behind the table, take a deck, load a deck, and stuff like that. So it gives me a lot more freedom with that. But the version you saw in the performance would be more akin to the walk around style of performance. And again, just because of so many people that I meet every week that have seen. Obviously, they're quite lucky in Bath and Bristol that they see so much magic every week.
Yeah.
And one of the things you get time and time again is the Omni deck now is so, what's like universal. Everyone's seen it. You know what I mean? When you put the cards in their hand, they know something's going to happen. You know, whether they think it's going to turn to glass or, you know, plastic, whatever they say. It's been sort of done to death now. You can pretty much insert any professional magician's repertoire. It's going to be in there.
Yeah, and when you're gigging, it's one of those tricks now where you do, a magician once put a deck in my hand and it turned to a block of glass or whatever. So it is one of those tricks, even though that hasn't deterred me from doing it.
I still use it all the time.
I know what you're saying, and this gives you that different edge.
It does, and it was it led to an exploration of different Omni deck alternatives. You know, like Solid Deception by Paul Harris, oddly strong. I don't know why, but it plays very, very well. And then this was a similar vein, obviously, like Solid Deception. The deck is solid at that point, and this is a nice. I think the lead in from the cards transforming. Yeah. So it's modular in the sense they're not just getting the. The decks here, it then becomes, how did he switch it from this normal deck to this block of plastic? Yeah. You've got the cards turning from bicycle into the deck, which is, whichever theme you want to use. I do like the Lego idea. It's such a fun, because it gives you something to talk about as a kid, because we can all remember, maybe different for you, but I couldn't afford like the big Star Wars sets. Yeah. And stuff like that. So some that I always usually talk about. I used to have like budget Lego kits, right? And but when they transform from that, and then the cards then become solid, I think is a nicer build. Yeah, it's like just an extra step. So it's already made, it's changed, and then it evolves again. Yeah, and it's just doing it once was enough for me to go, okay, there's definitely something here. Because I didn't really want to replace the Omni decks. I'm so used to it. Yeah, it might just be
it gets great reactions.
100%. It was enough for me to go, I want an alternative that I can use if someone says it, because it takes up no real pocket space. Yeah. You just have it in your back pocket or something. And then, but yeah, did it once, the transformation, the reaction was wild. That was enough for me to keep it in the bar. Yeah. Yeah. If the set repeats, you can then still do the same thing, but just you're adding a different finish. Yeah. Which is very nice.
And you get a really nice array of gaff cards in there. But I found even going for you'll notice as a performer, one of the strongest things you can do for a layperson, which is probably one of the easiest things we can do, get them to pick a card, do a double so it's not their card, and then it changes into their card. As simple as that is, the reaction from a lay spectator is incredible. I do that with the Brric deck, and I get them to pick a card, they put it back, turn it over, it's not their card. I say, well, that's not a problem, because with Lego, I can take it apart. And I literally do this on the back of the card. I say, and I can put it back together in any way. Yours was a 9 of hearts, right? So if I do that, that should now look like 9 of hearts. Something as simple as that.
Because it's something as absurd as it sounds, it's something they can sort of relate to in their head. Which is
and it sort of makes a weird sort of sense. I know they don't truly believe it, but it makes that that weird bit of sense.
They've got a visual reference they can relate to as opposed to
And I've got about a 5 trick set that I can do with Brric. And what I do is I don't do the block in their hand. I will literally switch it out on the table.
Okay,
So then
yeah.
at the end I'll go, but not only that, if we snap our fingers, the whole deck will change.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times, and it's quite nice actually, because it adds that sort of Tommy Wonder-esque style finish where it's happened, but you're so far ahead.
Yeah.
And it's not a point of interest anymore because you've done the card trick. You're producing it from your wallet or whatever. We're usually in the signed card version. I'll produce it from like a Bonds or something like that. But yeah, that last finish when it's on the table is a bit of a weird. You're like, oh, if you could just cut the cards in half, and then they're like, oh, then it kicks in what's happened. Super.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So, person, I would say there are tricks that a beginner can do in there without a shadow of a doubt. I would say, especially to use the Omni deck style thing, maybe a little bit more experience. You're going to build up to it because I do think you need a bit of confidence, whether you're switching that on the table or in their hand.
Absolutely.
But there are routines that an absolute beginner could use. But I would say you would want some card handling knowledge, whether it be forcing a card, controlling a card. You need to know, but not advanced. We're talking basic. But if you can do that, because there are jokers with card reveals and everything else, so if you're going to do that, you want to be able to force a card.
Yep.
You sound like a cross-cut force. So we're not talking about advanced levels of skill by any means, but you should know how to force and control.
Yeah, you can add it to most card routines with a little bit of thought. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like an ambitious card. You can just pop as an ending or any trick like that. Yeah,
and I will say as well, when I'm performing with the Brric deck, my go-to deck, like most people, is just a red bike deck.
Yeah.
But when I'm performing with Brric, I will bring the deck out and say, I'm going to show you a few things with these.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you now, these do all the work for me. Yeah. And then every trick is around the cards sort of being Lego and everything else. And then I can put them away and get my regular bike out. So
you said about the application, was it Runaway Joker? I think
Runaway Joker, you get the gimmicks for in there as well, which is one of my go-tos. I need to sit down and go through more of those actually.
Because it's because like a lot of projects you get, you'll just you'll learn the basics, you go out and perform it. And then when you go back and watch it, that's when you're like, oh, actually, there's so much more you can do with it.
You've got the Joker that's holding the ace as well, so you can go from Runaway Joker into forcing the ace.
I mean, you could have, like you said, a 4 or 5 trick act, with just the one piece, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Would you use them all at once? Maybe not. But at least if you're in that situation, you've got nothing else on you.
Yeah.
You've got that ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's some great routines. So, person, I would suggest having a bit of card handling ability, so not the absolute beginner.
No.
Would be my recommendation. Where you would do it, I would say close up, mix and mingle, tables, parlour.
Yeah.
Anywhere where people can see the cards. I think it's very important they see the cards with this one, because the cards are a big part of it. So if you're a close-up worker down the pub with your friends, you're out doing gigs, whatever it is, absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Close-up parlour.
Very, very nice.
Yeah. So that is Brric by Drew Perry. So the final effect we're going to talk about today is an effect that I absolutely love. I perform it. I was lucky enough to get a beta version of this.
Yes, okay.
All those years
ago,
back when Adam Wilber had created it. And the moment he showed me it, I fell in love with it. I always loved Martin Lewis's Technicolor prediction. I performed that for a while, stopped doing it for a while. Stopped doing it, not for a while, I stopped doing it. And mainly because I didn't really like the prop. I don't know if you remember the original prop. You had a big board, 3 envelopes. There was a lot of memory work, and it was only 3 choices.
Sure.
To my mind, and I know Andy Nyman bought one, and Andy sent me an email saying, can I have Adam Wilber's details? I need to send him an email of congratulations. Adam has the routine's similar to Martin, so credit to Martin for the routine.
Yep.
But Adam has solved a lot of problems. A lot of problems for the performer. And also added that And as Andy said it, that very important fourth person. I think it really needed that fourth person, you know?
Because they read the prediction.
Yeah.
You're not really involved, if anything.
No. And the thing is, when I perform it, I usually do it with 4 spectators.
Okay.
So it's not me, and I get them up. So it's a bit like a chair test.
Yeah.
So the final person, I don't change the predictions. They are as they were. But the final person, I say, look, you haven't had a choice. You've been left with the yellow. Yeah. And then when he reads it off, it says, I'm left with the yellow, or whatever it might be. So it makes sense with 4 people. I'm not really involved.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, let's take a look at a performance.
Let's do it.
And then we'll talk to you a bit more about it, because I know you perform it. So I'd like to know where you perform it in your show and everything else.
Sure.
So here's Adam Wilber performing Colour Psychology at the Chicago Magic Lounge.
All right. Now, when I was 9 years old, my mother told me, hey, you're going to the doctor. I got super nervous because as a 9-year-old, nobody wants to go get a shot. I said, Mom, I'm scared. I don't want to get a shot. She said, no. It's not that kind of doctor. It's an optometrist. So what the heck is that? They're going to check your eyes. Cool. Go to the optometrist, have my appointment, passed with flying colors, and actually 20/20, right? I said, well, what does that mean? He said, you can see perfectly. One caveat. You're pretty severely colorblind. I looked at him and went, well, that came out of the purple. All right. But this is all very true. I am severely colorblind. I got told that at 9 years old, and I didn't think anything of it, because at 9 years old, it hadn't affected me, so why would it start today? And then he said, there's only one thing that will affect you later in life. You can't legally be a helicopter pilot if you're colorblind. They use color-coded switches. If it's documented that you're colorblind, you could never get a helicopter pilot's license. Now, at 9 years old, I'd never wanted to fly a helicopter until that very conversation. And then that's all I wanted to do. But unfortunately, I did not get my helicopter pilot's license. But what I did do was invent a trick based off of color, just to stick it to my optometrist. And that's this trick. Now, as I was researching and developing this trick, I found a lot of really cool things out about color. It's got a lot of psychological cues built into us as humans that we can't do anything about. It's not things that we're taught, it's things that are inherent. For instance, fast food restaurants almost always use red. Red makes us hungry. If you go to a birthing ward where women give birth, it's almost always light blue on the walls because that's a calming color. Yellow, caution. Green is known to inspire creative thinking and problem solving. These are things that are built into us as humans. What that means is if I know a little bit about somebody, I'll know exactly what color they're going to pick. I'll show you what I mean. What I have are four wallets. Now, some people say, hey, if you're colorblind, how can you tell that one's green and that one's blue, right? Now, I kid. I can clearly see it's red, green, blue, and yellow, but it's the shades that I have issues with, right? Now, what these are 4 colored wallets. Each wallet has a corresponding slip of paper that matches the color of the wallet. Let's have some fun. Hey, sir, what's your name?
Matt.
Matt? Nice to meet you, Matt. Are you having a good time?
Great time.
Awesome. Are you local to the Chicago area?
We are.
Born and raised?
No.
Okay, where are you from originally?
Iowa.
Iowa, okay. And what do you get excited about? Not work, not like what do you wake up and sort of go, hey, I have the free day today. I want to do this. What would that be for you, Matt?
Fantasy baseball.
Baseball.
Okay, cool. This is going to work beautifully. Hey, Matt, don't let me influence you just by telling you the coolest and smartest people in the world start with yellow. That means nothing. If you had a free choice of these 4 colors, which color would you pick?
Blue.
Blue? Just like we rehearsed, buddy. Pull the blue slip of paper, just the slip of paper. Don't read it yet. We'll get to that at the end here. Hi, ma'am. What's your name?
Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Good.
Courtney, where are you from?
Schaumburg.
Is that in Illinois?
Chicago suburbs.
Okay, cool. I'm from New Hampshire, so we have a very small little... Any New Englanders in the house? Yeah, that's usually how it goes. And what do you get excited about? What are you passionate about in life?
My son.
Oh, awesome. How old is he?
2.
2? Very cool. What's his name?
Caden.
Caden. Beautiful name. This is going to work great. I have green, red, and yellow. Which one would you like?
Green.
I knew it. I knew it. I'm going to give you the green slip of paper. Pull the slip out. We'll read that in just a minute. Here we go. We got another one down the line. Let's see. Hey, sir, in the back there. How you doing?
Good.
What's your name?
Alan.
Hey, Alan. Nice to meet you. I'm still Adam. Pleasure. Alan, I have 2 colors left. I have red and I have yellow. I don't want to influence you, but just to make sure this is going to work, I have to ask one question. Favorite number, if you had to pick one that was a 2-digit number, what would that be?
24.
Perfect. Red or yellow? Red? Yes. Could you take the, excuse my reach, you guys, take the red slip and hand it back to my friend Alan? That would be perfect. So far, so what, right? Nothing's happened. We've just had some colors named. You guys picked some, you left me with yellow. Now, I'm not ignorant to the fact that it might be a little bit hard to trust a magician, so what we're gonna do is you look trustworthy, especially with your arms nice and crossed. Would you hold my yellow slip? What's your name? Jeff, thank you for helping out. So here we go. I need you guys to confirm this, the people that helped me. I didn't set this up with you out there and say, hey, you name this color, you name this color. What color? You freely chose blue, you freely chose green, you freely chose red. Yeah? Here's where it gets good. All of you unfold your piece of paper. And sir, we'll start with you, the one that picked blue. What does your slip of paper say in a nice, loud, clear voice?
I will pick blue.
What does yours say? Green, what does yours say?
I will pick red.
That's 3 for 3, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Find out where my sober people are here. I get it. Some people going, hey, honey, am I fooled? Did he trick me? I understand. See, the problem is this. You haven't seen the best part of the trick. It's my favorite part of the trick. It's the end of the trick. You guys freely chose some colors. I asked a few questions, got a good read on you, and you decided to leave me with one color, and that was yellow. I gave you the yellow slip of paper. If you could open that out, read the first line in a nice, loud, clear voice.
The man will pick blue.
Blue. Next line.
The woman will pick green.
Green. Next line.
The person with the glasses will pick red.
Red. Leaving me with?
I will be left with the yellow.
Yeah! 4 for 4, baby. Thank you very much. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I'll take that. Thank you very much. Alan, if you could pass that down, I have another show in about a month, and I'd love to do this trick again. So, perfect. If only my optometrist could be here now, right?
Right, so that was the performance. So just briefly, where do you, because you said you performed it, is this part of your regular show?
Yeah, so I do this as part of my one-man show. So when I'm doing 2 35-minute halves, it's always in my case. It's always ready to go. I usually use a couple of, it goes in one of two spots. It'll either be like 3 tricks into my first half if we're having a good sense of fun, good bit of humor, or if they are a bit of a quieter audience, I'll put this as the first trick in the second half because of the, because I use a lot of dad jokes and stuff like that in the first half of my show. So this is more of a, is of a similar vein.
Yeah.
I usually play it to the point of slightly awkward where the predictions are, there's a tangible feeling in the air that like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then the predictions, and it just, when they're revealing person by person, the man has this, the lady has that, person with glasses, it just hits and hits, and there's nothing. It's such a strong trick for no work. Do you know what I mean? It's,
it really is, and it can be personalised if you know you're performing for someone's 21st or someone's wedding. You can personalise it so it has their names in it. We do also supply you with a PDF of bonus routines and handlings and extra ideas. So there's a lot you can do with it. As to where you could do it, you could do it close up. There's nothing to stop you doing close up if you're working tables. Nothing to stop you at all. Whether you could do it, I wouldn't do it mix and mingle, but if you're doing tables,
the only bad angle is behind you. At the end. Without giving anything away, but that's the only.
That's the only thing you've really got to worry about. But also, just for part of the method, which saves any memory work, you want the wallets in view as you're doing the trick.
I think that's one of the great step forwards in regards to method.
You're not remembering anything.
It's very rare that when I first watched the tutorial, etc., the method was just such a fascinating. I've never actually smiled like widely and gone, "Oh, that's bloody good."
Yeah,
that was
it really is. The method is genius. Simple, but extremely clever.
Massively.
So for me, I think if you're we say this a lot, even if you're a close-up worker, you should have a couple of things in your case that will play to the whole room. And this is a perfect one for that. Play to the whole room. It's colourful. Even though it's only 4 wallets, it feels big.
Massively,
it
yeah.
feels like a big effect because of the colours of the wallets. You're standing like this. That's a very dominant position when you're performing, a very confident position. And it's great. So I think close-up tables, you could do it. I've never done it,
No,
close-up tables,
could do,
but
yeah.
you could. If you were doing a party in someone's house, perfect. If you're doing parlour, if you're doing stage, even if it's on a big theatre, it doesn't matter. They're going to see those wallets from the back of the room. They don't need to see the predictions because no one ever does see the prediction apart from the person reading them. So the size of them doesn't matter to where you could do the effect.
And like you said, I typically leave the people in the audience, but because in one of my shows, I get a lot of people up on stage, like 8 people in half an hour. It's a lot.
Right, yeah.
Whereas it's the nice change was you can have 3 people stand up, and then the last person, I'll probably do what you said now, get them up on stage into the mic.
Yeah.
And then they can sit down, similar to a toss-out deck. If you hear it and it's correct, sit down.
Yeah.
Instant applause cue.
Yeah, 100%. Skill-wise, there is none. Skill. A little bit of practice. I mean, I had this down in 5 minutes, I think. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, once I got my head around the system, which isn't complex.
No.
It's mainly where to put the predictions. It's the best bit to work out. But once that's done, you're away.
Yeah, and it is such a clever... Honestly, I look at it, and even though you look at it and you go, you still think, how did he come up with that?
Yeah,
it's
no idea.
such a beautiful, simplistic method that takes away all the issues that the original effect had. You've got that bonus of that fourth person, and you've got a method and props, method that's super squeaky clean, and props that are bang up to date.
And the presentation, you can apply endless. I've done versions that are very adult. I can't repeat on camera, up to like influence, up until just playing it straight. Using the wallets as they are.
Yeah.
So, but they've all played in each scenario. It's always been a hit. So
yeah,
it's a great
and
trick.
it is totally customizable as well. So that is color psychology. Right, so that brings us to the end of this Alakazam review show. I want to thank our special guest, Daniel Chard. Thank you so much, Daniel, for popping along.
Thanks for inviting me along.
And for Daniel for choosing 3FX to review. Now, I hope you enjoyed them. We did do some of these on an earlier review show. So if you want to have a look about what we said back then, you can go and check them out, especially if you want to see some of my routines with Brric, because I think I did 2 or 3 routines on the review show. So you'll be able to go and check those out as well. But all 3 tricks are amazing. And if you like them, go check them out on the website. The links will be below if you're interested. And if you haven't been on the website for a few days, we have just announced a brand new academy with the legend that is Terry Tyson. So pop over to the website and check it out. So we will see you next week on the Alakazam review show. Before I go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video online, which is daily. See you next week.